Alright guys, actually had a pretty good day. In a place called Withville, Virginia, about 30 miles from where I live, they had the first annual WYVA, W-Y-V-A, and this was huge for this area because it's been watching my videos, know I'm out in the middle of nowhere, and this was really needed, man, for a lot of people, man. I thought it was going to be a gaming convention, sort of like Magic cards and Warhammer and stuff, and I knew my comic book guy was getting a table up there. I went up there, and the thing wasn't huge. It was the first one, so they had low expectations, but I think I got there around 11, and I was the 177th person to show up, and there was more people throughout the day coming. This thing was from like 9 in the morning until 5. And I saw people coming through there all day long. Ran into a person that I hadn't seen in probably 20 years and stuff. He took a picture of me getting ate by a zombie. They had cosplayers there that looked just fantastic. They had just all kinds of people had come around. Tables were $15 a piece. There was some comic books. They're announcing a Salem Comic Convention in Salem, Virginia on August the 18th. Got recognized for my YouTube videos, which was I always find that kind of odd, but it's cool. No problem with it. Kind of like it. When somebody says I look familiar and talk. Good way to meet people. And I don't know how many people went through today, but my comic book guy, man, he was selling his comics $1 a piece, and he was slammed almost all day. Went out after that, ate Japanese, ran around Petco looking at lizards and nasty rodents, stuff like that. It was alright. It's pretty good. And of course I picked up some stuff, and I'm going to show just the big haul of stuff I've gotten in the last couple of weeks and stuff. First of all, stopped by Goodwill a week or two ago, picked up a few VHS, got my Heavy Metal 2000. I've avoided this like the plague because I'm a huge fan of the first Heavy Metal movie. Then I found out that this is based on a graphic novel by Peter Laird of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fame. He bought the rights or the book Heavy Metal. He's the guy that publishes it now. And he teamed up on a comic or a graphic novel or something like that, or maybe it was in the Heavy Metal magazine. But Peter Laird and Simon Bisley, this is based on their book. I think I watched about 5 minutes of it and I fell asleep. It was just way too late. Got the great Evil Dead 2 on VHS, and I'm telling you, man, these 80s movies, Evil Dead is timeless. It doesn't feel like an 80s movie, but VHS is the only way to watch some of these old horror movies. I don't know why. I'm not against DVD. I love DVD, and it's also not like this retro thing with VHS, but I still rock the VHS, and these things just play so much better. I don't know why. Alright, picked this up. Douglas Adams did the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and 6 other books. Restaurant in the Universe, Mostly Harmless, Goodbye and Thanks for All the Fish. I'm sure there's more. But he also had 2 books come out of Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency with its sequel, The Long Dark Tea Time of the Soul. This is great reading, man. This is like the humor of this does for old detective stories, film noir, what his humor did for sci-fi. This is just as good. In Long Dark Tea Time of the Soul, I actually read that book first years ago, and the line that got me is that there's a demon they're trying to track down, and they're investigating a crime scene. And after everybody leaves the crime scene, he goes into the narrative where he says the demon stepped out from behind a molecule. I just love that line. Not only was this demon hiding by shrinking, he felt the need to hide behind a molecule. So great stuff there. Really happy to get that. I think I got that for $2. On to the comics. Now I got a lot of this stuff on store credit, and then when I get to the stuff I bought today at the WYVA I was talking about, $5. Tons of stuff for $5, I guess. So we'll get through this, and I'll review the newer books that are towards the end. And you guys know how I am. I'll try not to talk your head off. Apologize for the light, but it's late at night and I can't sleep. Alright, now these I got, they pretty much came to 50 cents a piece. But of course I got them on store credit. These are the Star Wars, I didn't even know these existed. the early adventures, Dark Horse Classics, reprinting these. These are comic strips that were in like the Sunday Funnies and stuff. If I'm done my research right, I still need to do some digging. From 1979, and it says it's written and drawn by Russ Manning. Now Russ Manning is one of the great comic book artists of yesteryear, who never worked for the big two, DC or Marvel. He did all his work at Gold Key and Dell. He started out doing stuff like Tarzan, and then he created Magnus the Robot Fighter, which was basically Tarzan set in the future with robots instead of monkeys. And they give him writing credits, but I'm telling you, it seems like I remember Archie Goodwin and another writer seemed to have had a hand in those old Sunday strips. And I love that yesteryear clean, crisp style. And just to have Magnus the Robot Fighter drawn Star Wars is just cool. And I got a few of those. Okay, now these are by Al Williamson, some classic Star Wars. And I've said this before, video way back, I geek out like when I see Al Williamson working on anything Star Wars. He did the Empire Strikes Back adaptation. He did the Return of the Jedi adaptation. Star Wars was influenced big time by Flash Gordon. Al Williamson, back in the 50s and stuff like that, worked on Flash Gordon. So this blows me. In his art, to me, when I think comic book art, I think Al Williamson. The way he uses blacks, and it's not a photorealistic style, but his composition, his use of blacks, his proportions. I just love his stuff, and these are of course written by Archie Goodwin. I mean, I'm not a big to me, if George Lucas didn't do Star Wars, it didn't happen. But these are just great. Al Williamson art just nails it. Oh man, the guy's so underrated and kind of forgotten. Most people remember him from inking Daredevil in his later part of his career when John Romita Jr. was doing it and Ann Nocita was writing it. Just some great stuff. Really happy to have these. And I don't think I'm going to be reading these too deep unless the stories really grab me. I mean, I'll be enjoying the art in these. Alright, I don't remember whose video it was, but and I apologize for that. YouTube problems. Can only see 4 new videos at a time. I really got to do some digging to catch everybody's new videos, and I haven't been able to comment, but keep commenting. I think it's been fixed, but I needed this book, and I always wondered why I couldn't find it. I've got part 1, part 2, part 4 of the Mud Pack storyline from Detective Comics from back in the day. I remember I enjoyed it. And this is Detective 606, and I always wondered why this was so hard to find. After his video of the person who put this in their video, it was amazing because my comic book shop had it. Somebody pulled out a whole bunch of comics, like those Star Wars and stuff, and they're all beat up and everything like that, and this was in it. I about fell down. And then you can look at this, and there's a lot of suggestive stuff, if the lighting's good in here. We have the ghost of Robin with his very small shorts, with his crotch very close to Batman on his knees, like, oh my God, no, with his mouth wide open. Come on, guys. Oh man, thank God there's no Man-Thing crossover going on with Detective. Okay, I had to get this, segue into this. I just got this for the cover. This is Service number 82, I believe. Yep, Service number 82. I look at that cover, man. This is like the god, the deity of that service and the people we're worshiping. This is from Church and State, I think. And we got Man-Thing with boobs and Swamp Thing, and in the middle, I think that's Alan Moore all attached. Who can pass that up? And I got this one. I've got this thing where I'm really wanting to start to get at least the 150 issues of Cerebus. I've really been enjoying this stuff. So I picked this one up. I thought this was the classic rape issue, and it's not. But when I find that, I'll do a video on it. Found these in the same shop, antique shop that I found the Cerebus in. Deadpool number 7, Joe Kelly, Ed McGuinness. And the classic number 11. This is like the second, third, I don't know, maybe 4th time I've had this book. Oh, technical difficulties. And I'm probably going to put those Deadpool on eBay pretty soon. Whenever I put things on eBay, I usually do it on a Sunday. This is being recorded on a Saturday night. If I don't get it this Sunday, it'll be next Sunday with some stuff. Oh yeah, and in this book, I don't know what issue it is, but Deadpool ends up fitting in a Silver Age issue of Spider-Man. So that's what I think. It's been a while since I read it. Alright, I figured I'd give this a shot since all these were here. Amazing Spider-Man number 667, and it's all 6 parts of Spider Island along with an epilogue. Don't know if I'm going to enjoy it or not. Marvel, I just can't seem to enjoy Marvel here in the last couple years, and I try. Very few books. Okay, let's leave those there. Alright, Lock and Key, man. I'm slowly but surely getting quite a few of these, and I refuse to read them until I get at least one miniseries of this going. This is Lock and Key, Clockworks number 4. It's probably out of order. And number 3. Oh, there's a glare. Hear great things about it, and YouTube has a trailer for a TV show that never got picked up on it. Alright, I'm one of the few people that enjoyed this Legion of Superheroes from 1989 by Keith Giffen, Tom and Mary Barabum, and Al Gordon doing the inking, if I said those names right. It was 5 years later from where the Legion of Superheroes had left off, and it's grim and gritty, you know, and they used a 9-panel layout like Watchmen, and nobody goes by their superhero names. The Legion's been abandoned. The Dominators of the great crossover invasion from the 80s, if you remember that one, pretty much have taken over the Earth and most of the universe, if I remember. And it took 12 issues for the Legion to kind of reform, because they've all been through trials and tribulations, and they had the Dark Knight effect hit them, you know. But I enjoyed them, and I think I'm the only one. Here's number 7. This was so good to find. Now, those two came from Wacon, and this is Wacon. So from here on out, everything you see I got for $5, except for the new ones I'll show you here. Martial Law number 1 from Dark Horse Comics, Secret Tribunal. This, I stand by this. Now, by no means, how can I say this? For what they did in this comic and the atmosphere they created and the uneasiness of it, it was really easy to take this as the, you know, after Watchmen effect and Dark Knight Rises effect, you know, because, you know, there's some pretty intense stuff in these. But to me, I consider these the lost third book of the 80s that influenced a whole lot of what went on. Martial Law had a 6-issue miniseries, a couple one-shots, and then it bounced around. It had a Savage Dragon crossover, had a crossover with Hellraiser, you know, miniseries, and, you know, a few other things. If there's 20 issues of Martial Law out there, I'd be surprised. But it's by Kevin O'Neill, I think is his name. That's the guy that ended up drawing the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen with Alan Moore. Moving on. I really need to go back and look at my videos or something. I have no idea where to even dig. I don't know if I have number 1 of this or not, but I got issue 3 and 4 of the Trenchcoat Brigade. And the interesting thing about this is this book got pulled by a lot of comic book shops out of respect for Columbine, because during that tragedy, the shooters referred to themselves as the Trenchcoat Brigade. These guys were around first. And, you know, if anybody doesn't know, the Trenchcoat Brigade came out of the Books of Magic miniseries by Neil Gaiman, and 4 artists in each issue of the miniseries had a different artist. John J. Muth, Charles Vess, I don't remember the other 2 off the top of my head. And the Trenchcoat Brigade is John Constantine, the Phantom Stranger, Dr. Occult, and Mr. E. So I really hope I have number 1, because I've kept an eye out for these for a while. Hopefully you can see these. The light's bad. Got me a Captain Victory number 2. I about fell down when I saw this. I'd already gone through the boxes, and I'd been at the convention for so long, I went back and looked through the same box twice. I had a great conversation with the man who had these. He has a comic book shop apparently in Blacksburg, Virginia. He's only been open for a few months. I think his name was Bill, and I really wished I'd got the name of his store, but we were talking about other things. So I was really excited to find that. And yes, I got a freaking booster gold for the price I paid. I figured why not get one more Blackest Night issue. I've got a ton of these. I'm going to have to go see if I've got, I might be really close to having all the Blackest Night crossover books too. And I started out getting all those for like $0.25 a piece. You know, Blackest Night I enjoyed. Next Man, number 1. This was the 3rd. John Byrne did Next Men back in the 90s at Dark Horse. I think he did 30, 31 issues, and then IDW got him to come back, and he did like, I think, a 4-issue miniseries, and then he got to do he just kind of continued the story. This is all recap from the last two miniseries, well, 30 issue series and the last miniseries. I think they ended up doing 42 issues in all of the next Men when you add them all up, ignoring the numbering, and he always puts like 3-1 on there, to let you know this is the third volume of the next Men. Byrne, sadly I think Byrne's career has peaked, but it's kind of cool to see how the next Men was supposed to end. Got a Lock and Key #1, Keys to the Kingdom. Got me a Johnny Quest from Comico #24. I got a huge run of the Comico thing. It's not complete. This is just one issue closer. And now we're into the newer stuff that I got a couple weeks ago. This is Eerie #1 from Dark Horse Comics, picking right up. And it's got David Lapham doing a story, Bill Dubay, Christopher Taylor, Bruce Jones, and Richard Corbin. And I'm not going to say that this is going to knock your socks off, but it's solid. And if you like the old Eerie collection, I felt like this picked right up with them. A little bit more up to date in some stories, but it still has that eerie 70s feel from the magazine. Who was it? Harvey Publications did him, I think. I don't know. But this was like the sister book to Creepy for you guys out there that can remember that. If you are not reading the Goon, what is wrong with you? I missed the last couple issues because I didn't know he got started again. But this is issue 40. And this has Prohibition, Rockabilly, Hot Cars, freaking Johnny Paycheck rednecks doing, talking about how America's gone downhill and stuff. The greatest book that you're not reading, man. Go out and get it. I would highly recommend the Goon. Goon is sort of like, how to describe it, man. It's burlesque meets the Three Stooges, meets the Little Rascals, meets the Depression, meets thugs and EC Comics horror from the 50s, man. It's freaking awesome. I mean, I could just do a review on this whole book. This was such a good read, man. Oh my God. Alright, got the Comedian #2. All I'm going to say is what the hell's happening. It's kind of like, I feel like Brian Azzarello is writing this great story, placing the comedian at certain points in history, like JFK's shooting. He's at the beginning of the Vietnam conflict, but I'm hoping after the whole series is done, you see where this is going. And my guess is that right when if he is doing what I think he's doing, this series might end with the meeting at the Crime Busters, and by the time you get there, you've gotten to absorb and kind of know the comedian enough to know why he was so like he was in the Watchmen. The biggest thing that came out of this for me is that the comedian got sent over to Vietnam really before it got rolling, and all the soldiers are complaining that America is not, the government's not giving them what they need to really fight this war the right way. So they make a deal with the mafia, and I think it's who it is. And the mafia leader, comedian messes with him hard, and then you find out he's joking and says we're both working for the same people, and it's kind of funny that we're working together. It's a big joke because I put you in jail before. The mafia is selling drugs that are getting out of Vietnam in America to the hippies of the, where they were starting to take drugs and stuff. And the irony is that the hippies who are fighting the Vietnam War are funding the Vietnam War. So I guess that's kind of the joke. I'm not sure. But I'm hanging in there. Brian Azzarello usually delivers. So, hopefully this book is really going somewhere. I think he's just taking a different approach than I have seen in any other comic, to where this thing's going to come together in a completely different way. I don't know. Oh yeah, one more Star Wars there by Russ Manning. Okay, Silk Spectre #2. Let me tell you something. Okay. This book I had the lowest expectations for right off the bat. This book is solid. This is probably the #1 before Watchmen book in my opinion, just because of what Amanda Conner is putting in it. Yes, Darwin Cook is writing it, but I can see what Amanda Conner is doing. There's little things that they're real subtly referring to from the Watchmen series, but what I want to point out here, and it's the oddest thing for a guy to pick out, I know, is that Amanda Conner, what she's doing is what Will Eisner did in The Spirit. You don't tell people where and when they are in the story. You do it with visually. You find that one piece of furniture to let them know where they're at. That one piece of scenery that does it. And Will Eisner did this with street lamps. He did this with gutters. He did this with a table leg when you read The Spirit. And that's what Amanda Connor's done. She's got a sense. She's got the details of what's saving this book. That is the Silk Spectre, right? I want you to look at her shoes. They're like I don't know, I think they were called Mary Jane's. Now, when I saw this, I knew exactly that it was the 60s, but to me, I remember seeing those shoes in the early 70s. The way she draws the boots and stuff. This is taking place in the 60s in San Francisco during the hippie age and stuff. And it's the little things like that that Amanda Connor is knocking this book out of the ballpark, man. I hate to be using the cliche, but she's just nailing it. Story-wise, this one got a little campy there at the end, but that's all right. For them to move the story along and get a plot going there, a little campiness during the 60s. I don't know. I wasn't there, so maybe that's how people really talk. A lot of celebrities in there. It's picking up. She's getting into the clothes. We're watching her become a woman, I guess. And I mean, it's almost like a form of voyeurism because there's an honesty there. There's no doubt in my mind that Amanda Connor should be getting some kind of plot credit or something because I worked at a job with women for 15 years that it was like 98% women, and this is sort of has the same feel of really being around women, even in a professional standing there and stuff. So yeah, I'm really surprised with how much I like the Silk Spectre. I'm really looking forward to the next issue and see how this is going. I think I'm an Amanda Connor fan now, more than I was. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. This went a little bit long. I think that's it, guys. I'll say that there'll be a video coming up tomorrow that I've already recorded. Sort of a thank you thing, but you'll see what I'm saying. All right, guys. I'll see you later.